Spring ball is starting in Boulder. Let's talk about who to look out for, what to expect, and more.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Sorry for the really late episode. Had some airline issues. You guys know how that is these days. It's a little scary to fly, but we're here, we're alive, we're well, we're safe. And now we're talking spring ball. The Colorado Buffaloes are getting spring ball ready. It starts tomorrow, aka Tuesday. And there's a lot of things to be excited about, right? Colorado had a really big season last year. They go 9-4 after finishing 4-8 in year one of Coach Prime. And if it's anything like the previous years he had at Jackson State, or even from year one to year two, Coach Prime's teams take a jump. That being said, he lost, and we'll get to this later, two of the best college football players in the sport. So let's talk about the storylines that I'm going to be looking for, because we're going to talk storylines. We're going to talk what I'm most excited about, like position battles, sort of evolutions of things. And then we're going to talk about what worries me. And granted, there still is another trick up Coach Prime's sleeve eventually, I would imagine. So I'll get to that in a little bit. So starting with the quarterback battle. This is arguably, if not the biggest quarterback battle in college football, it is one of them, right? You have Ohio State. You have, who else? I feel like all these playoff teams, Michigan, right? You have Bryce Underwood and Mikey Keene. Ohio State has the trio of 5-stars who are competing. Alabama, right? You have a bunch of major programs. I'm sure I'm missing a handful who are having quarterback battles, but I don't know if as many of them are as pivotal as Colorado's because of the pressure that Deion Sanders is under to succeed. Because if he goes, say, 6-6, it's going to get loud on social media again. All the people that were hate watching before, welcome on back, because they will be back, right? The people of college football want to see Deion Sanders fail. That's how it has always been, and that is how it's going to be, because we all know, right? So the quarterback battle, if you don't know, it's Julian Lewis. He's a 5-star freshman, highest ranked quarterback recruit in Colorado school history. He is supposed to be I guess now he's supposed to be a senior in high school, heading into or finishing up his senior year, early enrollee, or junior in high school, technically. Next year, his freshman year at Colorado would have been his senior year of high school. So he skips out on his senior year. He's not a dynamic dual threat guy. He can move around a little bit, but he's known for pushing the ball. He's known for being accurate, making right decisions. He throws 40 touchdowns and 5 interceptions every year. And he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, right? So Colorado has a good one on their hands. If he wins a job, great. He has a veteran behind him. And if he doesn't, guess what? You have Kaidon Salter, who one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the country. He could run, decent arm. I think he's been firing off 70-yard passes, at least on social media. That being said, 2023 was a big year for him. Conference USA MVP at Liberty, led them to a New Year's Six bowl game. They were 13-0. Then they ultimately lost to Oregon in I think it was the Fiesta Bowl, and he looked really good that year, right? And then this past year, he loses a couple weapons. Things don't go his way. The team's not as good, and he takes a little step back. So does he return to that 2023 form, or is 2024 Kaidon Salter more accurate of what he is as a quarterback? Either way, he's a pretty good quarterback, and either way, Colorado has some pretty good solutions on their hands. And I guess you could also mention Ryan Staub was the backup to Shedeur, so I guess he should also get a chance to be in the mix. Let's talk revamped offensive line. Now, I know Colorado has had this issue because, it's not even an issue, right? It's a straight up problem, right? They've had the worst offensive line in college football for the past 2 years, or one of the worst, if you want to get technical. But it's one of those things where if you're Colorado, you have not been protecting your quarterback well enough. And I think that's the hard part about this new era of Coach Prime's team, because You don't have Travis Hunter. You don't have Shedeur Sanders, who are going to mask a lot of those issues. And you've never used your running game. So this is going to be like, hey, all hands on deck. We need a lot of solutions here because we have a lot of problems, right? I look at this offensive line right now, and I see Jordan Seaton returning as a starter. I think maybe Cash Cleveland, right? So at that point, we're going max 2 returning starters. I think we could see as many as 4 new starters, right? I think you get someone like Zarian McGill from Louisiana Tech. Maybe he starts a little bit. Maybe a guy like Aki OG from Texas A&M, Zai Chrysler from Illinois, right? And you also have guys who are running it back, right? You have Philip Houston, you have Tyler Brown, you have guys who have been in the mix, and then you have some inexperienced guys who I think have a lot of potential, like Mana Tamini, I believe is how you say it, 6'4", 345, transfer from Ole Miss. Like they went into the trenches again, and I think this unit's going to look mighty different, and that's okay, right? I think that's okay as long as we're getting production from them. Are they going to get production from them? Are they going to get development from them? We'll find out, right? They hired a new offensive line coach, not super experienced at the college level. That being said, Coach Prime, I feel like knows what he's doing, or at least for the most part has nailed his hires. Next sort of storyline that I'm looking out for is who steps up at wide receiver, right? Because you lose. Realistically, I think Colorado had 3 draft picks at wide receiver. Travis, Jimmy, LeJounte. I think Will Shepherd, you can make a case. There's probably 4 guys. There's 4 of them max, right? Obviously, Travis is a top 5 pick. I think for guys like LeJounte, Jimmy, they have potential to be late round picks, and the same thing with Will Shepherd, or they're going to be solid UDFAs, right? Undrafted free agents. You lose a ton of production, though, right? You lose your star quarterback, and you lose all of his weapons. So who do you turn to, right? You have Omarion Miller. You have Draylon Miller. You also go out and get the American Freshman of the Year, or Rookie of the Year, I think it was called, Joseph Williams, Tulane transfer. He's big-bodied, can make some plays, right? So who steps up there? Who emerges as the number 1 guy? If I had to sort of pencil someone in, I like Omarion Miller, right? The small doses I saw of Omarion Miller against USC, against I think it was Kansas State, right? Where he just pops in for like 5 minutes a game and just makes a couple big plays, and then we never see him again, right? I'd love to see more Omarion Miller. I want Miller time, and I want it now. So let's get Omarion Miller out there, because I think losing this much on offense is tough, right? You're going to have a new offensive scheme, I would imagine. You're going to have a lot of new players at key positions, so you need guys to step up as leaders. And so I think receiver technically is one of the more it helps when someone asserts himself. We'll just put it that way, right? When a receiver is willing to set himself, I mean, not willing, if a receiver is able to set himself apart from the rest of the pack and is also able to be a leader, it sort of helps the offense, right? It takes some pressure off the quarterback as well. And then lastly, the biggest storyline is, I think, the defensive line, right? I think Colorado could possibly have one of the better defensive lines in the Big 12, right? You have guys coming back like Amari McNeil. You bring in Jaheim Otis, who at one point was the number 1 transfer player in the portal. You have Samuel Kunalola. You have Keaton Wade, who I thought was a really good pass rusher at times, where they were like, we're going to redshirt him, but we're just going to give him some experience. And then they're like, well, he's too good to redshirt. You have Arden Walker. You have all these Gabriel Lightfoot, right? The defensive line is looking really stout for Colorado. So I'm liking what I'm seeing there. So those are my favorite storylines to look out for. Those are what I think are the biggest storylines. When we come back, we'll be talking about what I'm most excited to see and or hear about when it comes to spring ball in Boulder, because changes are happening. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. This episode is brought to you by Supply House. Now, if you don't know what Supply House is, let me tell you. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help get your job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And For trade pros looking for an edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. What am I excited about? A lot of things, right? There's a lot of things to be excited about. Coach Prime is going to be coaching football tomorrow, and, well, sort of. We get a little bit of football. We'll just call it that. So there's three things that stand out to me, and feel free to comment below so we can interact and talk about what you guys are excited about, because it's Locked On Buffs. The show's not possible without you guys. This show does not run without my everydayers, the people who are tuning in every single day, making this passable. Either way. Right. So I'm excited for the Locked On Buffs continuous coverage of Colorado football. We are, and I kid you not, 2 years old as a channel. Just to give you guys a little bit of background on our channel. 2 years old. We are officially 9 subscribers away from 7,000. So let's get there, because I think we're going to have a lot of fun the rest of the way. Let's start with the thing I'm most excited about. And it could be a lot of things, right? The evolution of the offense. I think Pat Shurmur was bailed out a lot by Shedeur Sanders. I think, and this was honestly it was a nice revelation, because I think it highlighted how well Shedeur Sanders played this past season, and people don't give him credit for that. That being said, I also think it sort of masked how many issues Colorado had. So these are some notes via a quarterback evaluator, right? So on offense, Colorado's offense, it says the offense, and this is on social media, it's viral. Warren Sharp shared it. It's from the quarterback school. Very popular quarterback mind on social media. So this is what he had to say. Offense is offensive, frustrating, not pro style at all, static, little to no motions or shifts, open edges, no tight ends, which, I mean, they bring in Zach Atkins. We had him on the show. Great dude. I'm very excited to see what he does. They weren't able to use tight ends, right? So that eliminates a ton of formations, right? This past season. No run game. They haven't had one yet. The offense line was rough. They struggled with pretty much everything. And the line of scrimmage was dominated, right? So it's one of those things where it's just, how do we evolve from that, right? Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter solved a lot of issues. Shedeur Sanders is he was one of the smartest quarterbacks in the country, and he was also one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the country, right? 76 completion percentage. I think it was 6th all time in college football, and made big plays after big plays, right? You had the Hail Mary, right? You had the drive against Arizona State the year prior, where they came back and won. You had the drive against Colorado State, right? He's clutch. It's what he does. Yeah, the Hail Mary against Baylor is what I meant to say. Cincinnati was a close one, right? Games down the stretch, he dominated games. He takes over games. It's what he does. Does Kaidon Salter or Julian Lewis do that? I don't know. We haven't seen them in this system. Is this system going to evolve, right? Because say it's Kaidon Salter, and I think for S&Gs, I'm going to declare Kaidon Salter the starter, or predict him to be the starter. I'm not going to declare him anything. I'm going to predict he'll be the starter. He is a dynamic quarterback. If he's the starting quarterback, the quarterback run needs to be a part of your offense. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing his self a disservice. You're doing everyone involved a disservice, because guess what? You're wasting a weapon, right? Also, you don't have Travis Hunter. You don't have LeJohntay. You don't have Jimmy. You don't have Will. Those guys were all veteran receivers. You're plugging in one veteran receiver and Joseph Williams, and even then he's a sophomore, right? This receiver core is all sophomores, or I think Draylon might be a redshirt freshman if I'm not mistaken. So 3 guys, they're all sophomores or below, youngsters, right? You got to make things easy for them. You got to make things easy for the quarterback. The run game didn't work. Make it work. Figure out a way to make it work. I don't know how to do it because it's not my job, and I don't figure it out, Pat Shurmur. You're an NFL head coach, right? You're an NFL mind. Deion Sanders trusts you to run his offense. He trusted you to coach his son in the most pivotal season of his life to go to the NFL, figure it out, right? Does the offense evolve? Do they change things up? Are we using pre-snap motion? Are we little window dressing, as they call it? Um, are we trying new formations? Are we running new styles where it's like we're going to try a quarterback option here? We're going to try an RPO. We're going to whatever it is, right? Or a working RPO, right? So does the offense evolve? That's what excites me because I think it will. Because if it doesn't, I tell you right now, if Colorado trots out the same offensive plan that they had last year with Shedeur Sanders and 4 NFL receivers on a team that does not have Shedeur Sanders and 4 NFL receivers, at least yet, they're going to win 5 games, right? You need to change your offense to what you have. You have to cater it to what you have. Ask Robert Livingston. He came to Boulder, said, you know what? I'm going to do what I think is right for the team, and that's playing to their strengths. So next, how good can the defense be? Speaking of Robert Livingston, speaking of the devil, right? You lose Travis Hunter, but you also bring back Colton Hood, Preston Hodge, and I think they are I'm DJ McKinney. How could I forget him? Right? You have 3 of the best corners, I think, in the Big 12, if not one of the best cornerback trios in college football. I think you can make an argument, right? I think when those preseason lists come out, I think they'll be somewhere in the top 5, at least top 10. You bring in Jaheim Otis, right? You bring in a ton of talent. So it's like, okay, this defense was really good last year. Now you lose BJ Green, Travis Hunter, like I said, you lose a ton of talent where it's like, okay, we can survive this, right? And I think, like, just looking at some of the names that I'm excited about, like I'm genuinely think this defense could be the strength of the team. Arden Walker, Amari McNeil, Jaheim Otis, right? Martavius French from UTSA, the linebacker. He was probably one of my favorite additions. Tafiq Bayard, USF transfer at safety. I like him. Samuel Kunulola, I think, had a quiet but could break out year. He had a pretty decent year, but I feel like he could be even better, right? I think this defense could be one of the best in the Big 12 and could really be the strength of this team. So I'm excited to see the rotations. I'm excited to see the new looks. I'm excited to see how the defense evolves as well. And then lastly, what I'm excited about, and this probably, I don't know if it excites everyone else as much as it excites me, the running backs, right? 3 talented guys. I think Colorado easily could have gone into the portal and said, you know what? We didn't get enough from our running backs. We need to bring in more. And they didn't do that. So you have Michael Welch. You have Dallin Hayden. You have Isaiah Gustav. They got some experience under their belts. They all had some rough patches. They all had some bright moments, right? Let's commit to the run a little bit. Let's get these guys going, right? Do these guys, speaking of the evolution of the offense, do they see a larger role or are they just there, right? Are they just going to be there again? So those are the 3 things I'm most excited about. When we come back, let me know what you guys are excited about because guess what? There's a lot of things happening. Excuse me. But first, a quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Wayfair. Your home should reflect your style, and with Wayfair, it's easier than ever to make that happen. Whether you're looking for a simple refresh or tackling a big home project, Wayfair has everything you need in one place. Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find the perfect piece, no matter your space or budget. From cozy furniture and stylish decor to kitchen essentials and outdoor must-haves, Wayfair has it all, and the price that fits your budget. Finding the perfect piece. I was looking for a new rug to tie into my living room, and of course, go to Wayfair. They have so many great options. Found my option for me. Head over to wayfair.com and find something that's just your style. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. This episode of Locked On Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. And let me tell you about FanDuel. If you aren't already in on the fun FanDuel action, well, you should be. March Madness is here. It's literally here. And FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Picking my favorites, I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them, excuse me, with the spreads, totals, and game props. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoop action all tournament long. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on the moment of our coverage. Let's talk about concerns, right? There's a lot of changes going on with Colorado. I think in total, let's see. If you're Colorado, like I was saying, sorry, a little internet issue. You're probably going to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new starters on defense. 7 to 8 new starters on defense. You could have less, but it depends. And on offense, I mean, probably you're going to have, we'll say, at least 3 new offensive linemen, a new tight end, all new starting receivers, a new quarterback, and running backs will all be returners, right? So there's going to be a lot of changes going on. So there's a lot of things to look out for, which leads me to my first concern. Will the changes be made within the offense and the defense, right? Is the staff going to adapt to this team? Are they going to play to strengths? Are they going to figure out the strengths? Are they going to dip back into the portal if they recognize, like, hey, linebackers ain't it, or running backs ain't it, or we need a body here, we need a body there? That's my question. Like, how different, I guess, will be? Will they solve some of these long-standing issues? I'm worried about the linebacker unit again, which I was last year as well. And then Nakai Hill-Green and Levante Bentley shut me up. That being said, you're running out a new linebacker unit. Martavius French and Reginald Hughes are looking like the two favorites to start. Do they have enough depth behind them? Are they the right guys? Are they going to help? Are they going to be able to slow down the run, right? We'll find out. Those so concerns there. And then lastly, life after Shedeur and Travis. I think Colorado, having 2 of college football's biggest superstars, I don't think we realized how many issues those teams could have had, right? You have one of the best quarterbacks in the country who's able to, even though he's sacked a ton, extend plays, make perfect throws on the run, clutch, leader, right? Travis Hunter, you're losing 2 stars in 1. So what does life look like after them, right? Is this team going to have a new identity? What is that identity going to be? Because they need one, right? That first question is kind of like a rhetorical one because they need one. And what is it going to be, right? Do they figure that out now? Or is that going to be something we figure out in the middle of the season when it's like, okay, we've lost 3 straight now. I don't know what our identity is. Because if you don't remember, Coach Prime, year 1, that team didn't have an identity. He said so himself. That cannot happen again. And I hope Shedeur and Travis, as great as they were, I hope they weren't the identity of the program. So that's my biggest concern about the Colorado Buffaloes heading into 2025. You let me know what your biggest concern is. Thank you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and I will see you guys tomorrow.